Well, good morning, viewers. We're out. Pretty cold this morning. Look at this view of the hospital with the sun coming up on it. Quite spectacular, actually. Gosford Hospital. Part of what's happening to a lot of you guys, and probably gals, is the inability to... And there's all different psychological reasons for this. Childhood trauma, adult trauma, past relationship trauma. You might want to ask yourself, what has happened? Say, let's count 4 relationships. What has happened in my last 4 relationships for them to end? Now, if you stop and ask yourself that question, you might find a pattern of destruction. Part of it might be coming from you, part of it might be coming from the other person, but combined, individually or combined, it's ending up in no relationship. Now, relationships today in 2023 are in all sorts, absolutely all sorts. Hypersensitivity, misunderstanding, a lack of foresight into where the other person's at, all the dark morals and values of today undermining people personally and together, tolerance being pushed to the brink where one or the other just gives in. Interferences, that's a big one. Social media interferences, family interferences, just to name a couple. But overall, the problem is a lack of an ability to resolve. I've been challenging my young nephew a little bit, just he's a little bit close to his mum, so I've been challenging that, and it didn't go real well either. A challenge that you're a little bit close to your mum is not a character attack, and it's not an attack on who you are, it's just a bit of advice, but I won't be doing that again. That's how sensitive and protective people are of things that aren't necessarily going to help them in the long run. But sometimes we're better off to keep our opinions to ourselves. I just come out of a relationship where the adult sons were just dark and evil. There's no other way I can say it, dark and evil. But that darkness and evil was from her. She was the parent. She's domestically allowed that to form. As a matter of fact, I can remember there at one stage, and of course the mother wants to be proud of her children, but you've got to make sure that you've got it right when you start pumping up people's egos, and it may not necessarily be for the right reason, and therefore you're just encouraging dysfunction. How are you, mate?
Good, how are you?
Good, buddy. Just encouraging dysfunction and destruction. And the thing is, if the parents that way and they haven't got the courage to challenge the children on it, then you've just got a circle of evil. That's all I can really say it is, because if people aren't doing anything wrong and they're being treated as though they are, that's not rational, and that is not good. So if it's not good, what is it? Bad. So I learnt that over time, when you're in, and I should have known better, but when you're in an environment that's bad, even if you're not in that environment, see, the energy coming from that by way of connection, by relationship connection, will wear at you because there's blockages and interferences, and it's just a mosh pit of aggravation, disrespect. What else? It's demoralizing. So I tried to time it out, but duration of time wasn't improving anything. And one thing led to another, and I just had to call it. I'd agreed with everything they needed and wanted. I went along with all their things, but when it really come down to the nitty gritty, it was never going to work in favour of the relationship. So I got better things to do, and I'm sure she has as well. But this is why little things like this are why people aren't lasting in relationships. And so it comes down to a matter of value and resolve. If things can't be resolved, and this is what's happening a lot now, then you don't have the relationship. It's as simple as that. So take that on board, whatever the problem is, whatever the reason is. My son just had a run-in with his girl because she doesn't know how to cook, but that's his problem, because he should have sorted that out before he put himself in a situation where he's having to confront it in a way in which he's like a fucking parent. Shouldn't have to do that. And men, you shouldn't have to contend with women that just aren't going to be fun. Fuck the cunts off that are on drugs and alcohol and shit and on their phones and social media and all that shit. Fuck them off. Dump them. Hey mate, if you were going to cook a spaghetti bolognese, this is a dead set question. If you were going to cook a spaghetti bolognese, what would be the first thing you'd add to the mince as an ingredient?
Mint, tomato sauce.
Hey?
Tomato sauce.
And what else?
A bit of salt.
Anything else like veggies or onion or?
Oh, onion, yeah.
Thank you.
But nothing else.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like a big question, but that's what the run-in was over with the son. What would you add to the mince if you were cooking spaghetti bolognese? Would you throw onion in? I guess everybody's different. But it caused a big blue, it caused a big row. So we need to know what the preferences are of our partners. I think my last partner too, she started coming over too much and didn't know how to stop. She probably thought I was going to get mad, but what she didn't realise was I was thinking the same thing myself. We've seen too much of each other. But oh well. If you can't confront your sons on whether your partner can come over or not, you're really not going to be able to confront much else, are you? Like, I'm coming over too much and do you mind if I don't? Of course not. We had a couple of different schedules and ways in which we were trying to work out the best way to see each other to keep up the attraction. Maybe she was coming over there more because she was trying to get away from what was going on in her house. I don't know. You've got to communicate. So if I was a mind reader, I'd be a multi-millionaire. But you can only pray and hope and try and work things out. You just don't want to get to the point where there's an explosion. don't get to that point. If things aren't working out, let it be and walk away. Go through all the mind looping and thinking and ruminating and trying to work out the answers. Sometimes the answers are right in front of us, but our desire not to fail causes us to look for things a lot of the time that aren't there. Answers that we don't really need, so we can't come out of trying to find solutions to things that have already happened and can't change. My daughter said something very interesting to me the other day. She said, when you start to heal, your conversation broadens. So you don't keep going over the breakup. You don't keep going over what happens and what has happened and how you see it and all this other stuff, which is what we do. So are you healing? Look at these leaves. Aren't they lovely? Sometimes the good Lord Jesus, he said, he who loves his life will lose it. But he who hates his life will keep it. Sometimes we've just got to lose. We just got to lose, give in, fall to the ground. No grog, no fucking drugs. None of that. And accept we need to do better. First, everything starts and ends with yourself. And second, it's up to the other person whether they want to learn and do better. Some people don't. Some people just don't. That's why you got to concentrate on yourself. And believe me, if you're going through a breakup, do what I'm doing. Well, I do this anyway, but go for a walk. Get up and go for a walk. Do your exercise. Give yourself some purpose. That sign writes warning people that people are going to be walking across there. I'm trying to warn you, you can get through and out the other side, and you can build, if you're in one at the moment, wonderful relationships, but it comes out of cooperation, transparency, fairness, unity, keeping evil at arm's length, and looking for the great things in life. Problem is, when you give yourself time to heal and you go into people's lives and they're not, people have got a way of hiding things, and then all of a sudden it manifests and then you're connected to it. You can't save somebody from the way in which they're formed. It's not your job to do that, that's their job. But I've met people that have been willing to work on themselves and make things happen. But I've watched those same people slowly slide back into the trap of addiction, major or minor, habits, destructive habits, and the like. You can find a way out of it, and it doesn't have to be via pain. A lot of people don't realise, don't wake up until there's pain. Usually they turn to things that they think are helping them, but it's only in the short term, and then the habit becomes a pain. Just gives them a short-term relief. That's why you have to have more. There's nothing more attractive than being with somebody that's prepared to make sure everything's clear, everything is resolved as it needs to be in the relationship. And there's nothing more horrible or damaging or ugly or difficult than being with somebody that just doesn't want to, or is not able to, by a circumstance or character or whatever the problem might be, able to resolve. You don't need those headaches. You shouldn't want those headaches. And the best thing to do is to back out. Let them go their way, you go your way, and everybody's happy again. You get healthy and stay fit. Look after your mind. Go to work. Do your job. Everybody's happy. This is Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison on the ProBrick exclusive YouTube channel. Bye for now.